Hello, I'm Dick Dirksen, and I want to talk about our children. As part of my job as storyteller for Maranatha Volunteers International, I travel to 4 continents where Maranatha is busily building or improving campuses of Seventh-day Adventist schools. The United States, India, Ecuador, Mozambique right now. At each school, I meet incredibly gifted teachers, expectant parents, and successful students, many of whom are now sending their own children to the new school we're building. Wherever there's a Seventh-day Adventist school around the world, the church grows, and the economic status of the families improves. And our students, they become leaders in their communities. However, when I come home and share those success stories with friends in the United States, I often see frowns and hear this question. Well, that may be true in the rest of the world, Dick, but here in North America, aren't our children better off in the public schools? Folks give me 4 reasons for that belief. Number 1, public schools are bigger. Number 2, public schools are better academically. Number 3, they're cheaper. And number 4, aren't they more respected than Seventh-day Adventist schools? Those are reasons many of us have heard and used for years. To find out the facts, La Sierra University, my alma mater, with the cooperation of the North American Division Office of Education, is leading a research project that is studying 35,000 students who attend Seventh-day Adventist schools in the United States, Canada, and Bermuda. 35,000. Those are kids in grades 3 through 9 and grade 11. It's one of the largest research studies on Adventist education and the first large-scale study ever done to measure the academic effectiveness of Adventist schools. The study is called Cognitive Genesis. It's already in its 2nd year. There are 2 purposes to that study. Number 1, to determine how students in Adventist schools are doing academically when compared against national norms. Number 2, to find out what factors could be related to their achievement levels. Now, in order to find out how students in Adventist schools are doing, we wanted to compare our students to national norms. Now, this includes students in public schools, private schools, and parochial schools, and all of that on nationally recognized achievement tests. That way we can determine whether students in Adventist schools score higher or lower than the national norm or national average on those standard achievement tests. Now, as you may know, I'm a photographer and a storyteller, not an expert in academic research. But here's where I get to introduce you to a team of experts, researchers from both La Sierra and Andrews universities who are doing specific analysis of our students' achievement. That study is called Cognitive Genesis. They're treating the data confidentially, adhering to strict ethical standards, and in addition to comparing our kids' achievement against the national norm, the team is also studying 100 other questions you would be asking. How achievement relates to other factors like the size of classes, how much teacher contact there is, what about parental involvement, what about students working together or working individually, what about the spiritual environment, and many, many more. Here's what they've discovered so far. First, students in Adventist schools score higher than the national average. Number 2, students in Seventh-day Adventist schools achieve above their personal predicted achievement at every ability level, regardless of the size of the school, regardless of the number of students in the classroom. Let me try that another way. Here's what Cognitive Genesis demonstrates. Students in Seventh-day Adventist schools score above the national average in reading. Now remember, the national average or the national norm, that includes students in public, private, and parochial schools, all of whom took the same standardized tests. Another one, students in Seventh-day Adventist schools score above the national average in math. Students in Seventh-day Adventist schools score above the national average in language arts. Now that includes reading, writing, and knowing how to express yourself in English. It's getting repetitive? Be glad, because it's true. Students in Seventh-day Adventist schools score above the national average in social studies. Students in Seventh-day Adventist schools score above the national average in science. And students in Seventh-day Adventist schools score above the national average in sources of information. Now that includes knowing how to use a library and how to Google information on the web. But wait, there's more. the results are the same for small schools and small classes. The results are the same for large schools and large classes. Ah, but you say, my child is different, unique. It's probably true. But since you want the very best academic experience for your child, here's the point that will really excite you. According to the standardized tests, students in Seventh-day Adventist schools achieve above their personal predicted achievement at every ability level. And there's still more. When children go to a Seventh-day Adventist school, they are academically successful, even beyond what their ability predicts. Add this cognitive genesis information to what we have already learned from the previous value genesis studies, and you quickly see that students who attend Adventist church schools are more likely to have a positive spiritual experience. They'll develop social skills that will help them succeed and lead both in their church and community. I talked to an Adventist teacher this morning. You know what she said? I believe that your child is one of God's kids, and I want to be sure and give your child the very, very best. Bring them closer to what God made them to be. That's one of the biggest reasons to send your children to a Seventh-day Adventist school. Teachers like that who transform kids' lives. Now, the value genesis studies, they confirm the first reason. Cognitive genesis, all the research is providing new affirmation for the reason about academic excellence. Your local Adventist church school may well be the best school in the world for your child.